Pioneer Lotus Field Combo is fixed. You heard me correctly, and it's all thanks to artist talent from Bloomburrow. Let's go check this innovation out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. This deck list is so sweet, and before we begin, there's a couple things I'd like to say. One, this is going to be a longer deck tech, so if you're not interested on why we're playing artist talent and all that good stuff, you can just go ahead and skip through using the chapter function of YouTube. But most of you are probably here for why we're playing artist talent and why it's so good, so I hope you enjoyed this longer explanation of the deck tech. The other thing is, normally I like to give credit for innovations to people that, came up with brilliant ideas. I don't know who that was for artist talent in this Lotus Field Combo deck, but I did see that Magic Online user The Manland was the first person who had results with artist talent. So what exactly is artist talent? Well, it's a 2-mana enchantment from Bloomburrow, 1 in a red, and it levels up. So with the first level, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you draw a card and discard a card. So that allows you to churn through your deck looking for things like Hidden Strings or Vizier of Tumbling Sands, Pore over the pages, and you're just able to really churn through your deck quickly. So that's what makes it nice. The second thing is that you can level this card up for 2 in a red, and it becomes a Ruby Medallion of sorts. Your non-creature spells cost 1 less. Okay, well, we like that. So it means that things like Hidden Strings, Balaged Recovery, they make more mana. And then Pore over the pages becomes a break even when you have 1 Lotus Field and then 1 island. Okay. The third chapter of Artist Talent isn't really used here, but it might be used in something like, I don't know, modern Ruby Storm, where your grape shots all of a sudden deal more damage, and we like those things. So that's pretty cool. So why is this so good? Well, we're a Lotus Field combo deck, so you're able to sculpt quickly. We like those things. But the biggest level up to me is that you no longer need Thespian Stage or a second copy of Lotus Field. That's interesting. So you only need 1 Lotus Field in order to win the game. Something like a Botanical Sanctum or a Spirebluff Canal can get you the rest of the way, because things like Hidden Strings and Balaged Recovery, they're found at a higher rate. You're able to just cast them more consistently, stuff like that. So Artist Talent allows you to draw through your deck. You're able to cast a bunch of spells. Cool. But what about Omniscience? Isn't that how you win with Approach of the Second Sun? We're not playing Approach of the Second Sun because you don't need it. You also don't need clunky cards like Omniscience or Emergent Ultimatum, Dark Petition, Peer into the Abyss, these uncastable cards that are just gigantic, that are really only good against mid-range decks or control decks. So instead, you're able to play things like Consider and Sleight of Hand that trigger the Artist Talent more consistently. And without things like Emergent Ultimatum or Omniscience, you can't play big clunky cards like Approach of the Second Sun. So instead you have Wish that gets your sideboard copy of Thassa's Oracle. You might be thinking about Fae of Wishes. Fae of Wishes can't get creatures, so you don't want to play Fae of Wishes. But Thassa's Oracle is the win condition that you search for using Wish or even Mastermind's Acquisition. This is a change that I've made to the deck list today. A lot of lists are playing 2 copies of Wish or even 1. But I wanted a Mastermind's Acquisition. So I played this deck list in a couple leagues now. And the first one I went 4-1. It should have been a 5-0. The issue is I was playing late and I was getting a little tired. And I was at the point where I had already won the game, but I had to finish drawing through my entire deck, which is pretty easy to do, by the way, with Artist Talent. So if you're worried about drawing your entire deck for Thassa's Oracle, super simple, never a problem. And I just started casting spells at random pretty much, and I was tired. And I wasn't paying attention, and I discarded a Hidden Strings, and then I ended up short on mana. My own fault, but I should have went 5-0. And then last night, I played the deck list again in a league where I only lost to Blue-White Control. And we'll get to the sideboard, and I'll talk about that a little bit then. But this deck list is so consistent, it's fast. That's a big difference, too. So that is like why Artist Talent is so good. But I found that Wish in particular only is good for like Dig Through Time, Lear, or the Thassa's Oracle. I wanted Mastermind's Acquisition so I could grab Hidden Strings or even Thespian Stage, even though you don't need it when you have Artist Talent. And Thespian Stage is a nice backup for when you don't have the Artist Talent. So this deck is just really smooth in my experience. So Dig Through Time is good because you're able to discard cards to the Artist Talent and then find Dig Through Time, play Dig Through Time, which digs 7 cards deep for another Hidden Strings, or Pore with the pages. You might be wondering about Treasure Cruise. It's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with Treasure Cruise, but Dig Through Time finding hidden strings is just more important than 3 random cards off the top of your deck. Like, that 7 cards deep does matter. Last night, I actually played 3 Dig Through Time in the main deck and 1 in the sideboard, and I was not running the Impulse, but I found myself in a few situations with double Dig Through Time not being able to cast both, and it was a little weird. So today I'm playing 1 Impulse instead. Some other people on MTG Goldfish are doing something similar. So play whatever makes you happy, but I have found 3 Dig Through Time to be a little inconvenience, or an inconvenience, there we go, I can talk, at different stages of the game. So that is the Mastermind's acquisition Dig Through Time stuff, and yeah, like, artist talent has just been so impressive. The downside is that it can be removed using something like a Boseiju or a Get Lost or things like that. And that sort of brings me to our sideboard. So in my league last night, I lost to Blue Eye Control, and I had this epiphany that I was like, I should be boarding out artist talent because they have March of Otherworldly Light, they have Get Lost, counter spells, I saw a Portable Hole, things like that. And I was like, why am I playing this card? It's just a big target. And then in post-board games, there's also Aether Gust. And I was like, wow, this card is a really big liability. And I had 4 copies of Mystical Dispute. And Mystical Dispute is good because a lot of these Azorius control decks are playing Narset Parter of Veils. Well, the problem is that none of them ever play Narset on turn 3, and they wait for it to have Mystical Dispute or even Dovin's Veto backup. And throughout the course of the game, my Mystical Disputes were just never live, ever. Or they'd play a Dovin's Veto and I couldn't Mystical Dispute it. And I was like, I hate this card. Then I decided, hey, I'm just going to play Silence. And what's nice about Silence is that it protects your artist talent from all those instant speed white removal spells. Not only that, it protects your Leer Disciple of the Drowned. So that way this card becomes more reliable. I've played a lot of Silence in the past. I haven't played it in this deck list, but I believe it makes perfect sense. I wanted a 3rd copy of Boseiju for High Noon, which is a rule of law that's seeing play, and it's really popular because the Rakdos Prowess deck is so good right now. And when you have 3 copies of Boseiju, you're allowed to board out into the Floodmaw versus those blue-white decks, which is something I want. I found that this card was really awkward in the matchup, and I just didn't want it in my deck. So by having a 3rd copy of Boseiju, I'm allowed to sideboard this card out. 2 more copies of Into the Floodmaw. You want to be able to board up to 4 against the Rakdos Prowess deck just to make sure that you live. And in that last video I recorded that you can find in the card above, it was all about Pyroclasm to Pioneer, and I really did think that it was going to be the card that Lotus Field wanted. The unfortunate reality is they only need 1 creature to kill you, and it's a 1-mana 1/1. So you're never going to be able to really get them with Pyroclasm because they're not going to overextend. So Into the Floodmaw is a lot more interesting because they have to overextend into it. And then for 1 blue mana at instant speed, you can put them straight into the dirt. So I believe that Into the Floodmaw is actually the best card for that matchup, and you shouldn't be playing Pyroclasm. Leyline of Sanctity is an innovation that I've made. I've loved this card in Lotus Field Combo for years. And when the format is all about Thoughtseize and Go Blank and Duress and all these other things, Leyline of Sanctity is really good because it means that you're able to keep the key cards in your hand like Artist Talent. And when you have Artist Talent, you're able to discard additional copies of Leyline of Sanctity that you might draw later. And having this card that just churns through your deck has made sideboard cards like Leyline even more valuable. So I've loved this card in the leagues that I've played. I would highly recommend playing it. Sideboard copy of Leer. It makes winning with Wish very easy. With the Mastermind's acquisition, you could grab the one in the main deck, but having access to it off of Wish, I think, is still pretty good. Thought Distortion, just another card to blow out the blue-white decks. Azorius Control is a real problem the way that it's currently constructed. It's a lot of counter spells, so you just want a card that you can find that will, win you the game. And then a sideboard Dig Through Time for Wish. So that is my long deck tech. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I've been so impressed with it so far, and I hope we do well today. So if you do enjoy the video, please, please, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, support us. But that's what I've got for now. Hopefully you enjoyed this long-winded explanation, and I'll see you in the first match. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. We are on the play for match number 1, and wow, what a hand. So one thing that I love about this Artist Talent build is, and you'll see it here, so on turn 2 you can play Artist Talent, and then turn 3 you level it up, and then on turn 4 you can play your Lotus Field and win the game. Well, they have turn 1 Thoughtseize, so maybe we won't get to see it. But basically what I'm trying to describe here is that you can keep your Lotus Field hidden for longer, and by doing so, you don't expose yourself to things like Alpine Moon or Damping Sphere or things like that. It's more applicable in post-board matchups, but it's still something that you should know about. And wow, we ripped another Artist Talent. Too skilled. We'll play the talent, pass the turn. Concealed Courtyard. Ah, so they're playing the tree deck. Okay. They discard Bitter Triumph. I think here I just want to play stage and then level up my Artist Talent. We will pass the turn after that. If you're unfamiliar with the deck that we're facing, there's a tree that's like a 0-13 that you could switch power and toughness. And the idea is with things like Fear of Missing Out and other stuff like that, basically they're going to drop my life really low and then attack. If they get to do the combo, you'll see it, but it's basically what they're trying to do. They're like a Rakdos. Well, in this case, they're playing white. I haven't seen white in this deck yet, but that's what they're looking to accomplish. They milled over 4 lands. Okay. And now they'll swing. They do not have Delirium, so they only get the 1 attack step. We'll draw, and it's a Wish. We can't win right now, so we're going to just play the Lotus Field and then copy it and then try to win next turn. So we'll sacrifice these lands here and send it back. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Sure. And now they'll swing again. All right, it's go time. We'll play Wish here. And Wish will allow me to play the sideboard Dig Through Time. We'll auto yield to this trigger. Discard, I think, the island. Thespian Stage. So now we will tap this for mana and we'll play Dig Through Time. Exile everything that isn't the Wish. Oh, I guess I get to keep one other card. So let's keep the Artist Talent. I don't know if it matters. So now we're playing Dig Through Time. I will discard another copy of Thespian Stage. We draw Lotus Field. We did not hit Hidden Strings or Vizier. Wow. That's a little bit of bad luck on our side. I guess I'll take Artist Talent and Dig Through Time. Holy moly. That's a lot of cards to not see any untap effect. So we could play the Artist Talent, discard Lotus Field, into the Floodmaw. So I can play Beseiju and then Sylvan Scrying to get 2 looks for a Hidden Strings. We'll do that. Discard. I mean, if I untap, I don't need this into the Floodmaw. But I guess I could just bounce the Fear of Missing Out so I don't risk anything. I'll discard the Balagad Recovery. Consider. Discard the Consider. And we did not find Hidden Strings. We'll grab Otawara. We'll into the Floodmaw on the Fear of Missing Out. Discard Lotus Field. Discard Botanical Sanctum. And we'll pass the turn. So we saw a lot of cards that turn without finding a Pore Over the Pages, Hidden Strings, Vizier of Tumbling Sands. Hopefully we have a little bit more luck on our next turn. And now the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They discard another copy of Fable plus a Sacred Foundry. Fear of Missing Out is back. Discards a Bitter Triumph. And now they attack. So they can create a treasure. I'll take 2 down to 11. Greasefang. Okay. That actually makes... So you've combined Greasefang with the Fear of Missing Out deck. That's really interesting. I'm not trying to be facetious or anything. Like, this is cool. We'll play Dig Through Time. Okay. Discard Otawara. Discard the Spire Bluff Canal. Dig Through Time. There's a Hidden Strings. We'll take a Sleight of Hand as the other card. And now I need to look at which one of these is level. This is level 2. This is nothing. So I guess I don't need to level it up. We're not playing a 3-drop yet. We'll play Hidden Strings. Untap, untap. Oh, I accidentally didn't untap for red. Whoops. That's on me. Discard Sleight of Hand. Discard Sleight of Hand. And now we'll untap. Yeah, I definitely messed that up. We'll just level this up now because I can. We'll play Sleight of Hand. Discard Boseiju. Discard the Sylvan Scrying. We find a Vizier. We'll take a Pore over the pages. And this should just be smooth sailing from here. Cycle the Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. Yeah, we're definitely winning this turn. Okay, so Hidden Strings is the worst card in this hand at the moment. I want the other copy of Masterminds. We'll get rid of... Actually, no, I just won't discard. I don't have to discard here. Untap, untap. Discard Vizier. And we'll Pore over the pages. 22 cards left in our deck. I don't need Hidden Strings. Don't need the Mana Confluence. Another Pore. Untap, untap. Discard Lotus Field. 17 cards left. Pore over the pages. When you have double Artist Talent, you can just... Pore over the pages ends up making mana, which is beautiful. So now we untap, untap. Discard, consider. I will Pore over the pages again. Discard Vizier. Discard Dig Through Time. We untap our lands. Discard Thespian Stage. We'll tap these for black. And now we can Mastermind's Acquisition. We'll grab a card from outside the game. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Discard Artist Talent. We'll grab the Thassa's Oracle. Still 5 cards left in our deck, so let's play Sleight of Hand. Discard the Botanical Sanctum. Discard Spire Bluff Canal. 3 cards left. We'll take Consider. And we'll play Thassa's Oracle. So you might be saying, but what if they removed it? 1, they're tapped out. 2, if our opponent did do something here, I can just respond with Impulse or Consider and empty my deck. Alright, so we've won game number 1 versus this hybrid tree Greasefang deck. I definitely want Leylines in this matchup. And then the question is, do you want to bring in more copies of Into the Floodmaw? I'm not sure. So we could definitely board out Consider for the Leylines. I don't know if we want more copies of Into the Floodmaw or not. That's a concern I have here. I guess I could board out the Impulse. Let's bring it, and let's do this. We'll leave 1 Floodmaw on the sideboard. Okay. So we need to draw lands, but if we do, this hand has everything. It's risky. Don't judge me. I'm keeping this. Running lands? Come on. Let's see it. 1 time. No luck yet. Pass. Land number 2. They play Fear of Missing Out. Discards the Parhelion. We're in trouble. Alright. Thespian Stage. We'll pass. If this is a Greasefang, our draw was not fast enough. And it is! So they have the really good start here. So I don't know if we were going to beat this on the draw anyway. I guess I would have needed a blue mana here to just buy a turn. Like, this is just a very good start for them. Yeah, our draw was just too slow. It would have worked if if we had a turn 4, we win this game. But the sad reality is we just didn't have a turn 4. So, brutal. I'm going to resubmit. Game 3, we're on the play. I'm not going to mulligan this. It doesn't have Leyline, but we do have Lotus Field plus Thespian Stage through Sylvan Scrying, so I think that this is a keep. Turn 1, Elegant Parlor. They put a Concealed Courtyard to the graveyard. We draw another Sylvan Scrying. We'll play the Sylvan Scrying. We'll go grab the Thespian Stage. Pass the turn. Land 2. Blood Tithe Harvester. So they don't have the insane draw that they had in game number 2. Another Lotus Field wasn't actually that good. We'll play Sylvan Scrying. Go grab Otawara. Play the Lotus Field. Okay, we need some better draws here. I guess I could have selected a Ketria Triome instead of the Otawara, but I like the fact that Otawara means that our opponent might not try to just Goldfish us. They play Thoughtseize, they'll see that my hand is not very good. And now they'll discard, they have the Parhelion. So if they have Greasefang in hand, I'm in trouble. We'll take 3, Stage, pass the turn. A lot of lands. Okay, so they'd be attacking for 17 here. How does this work? So I can bounce the Parhelion in the beginning of their combat. Maybe that's my best chance here. And now we'll just bounce it. So they need another discard outlet. And we go to 14. Into the Flood Maw. That was a good draw. We'll play Mana Confluence past the turn. So I need to draw Pore Over the Pages or Dig Through Time if we want to win this. Interesting. No discard here. So they're attacking for 7. This is lethal next turn. So I think what I want to do here is we'll copy, and then I'll bounce the Greasefang. So that way they don't have lethal. And I just need to draw into something that's relevant. I'm at 11. They play a Sky Sovereign. Okay. Vizier. So you're saying there's a chance. Cycle Vizier. Let's see it, deck. Pretty please. Give me something good. Draw. Okay. Let's party. Pore Over the Pages. That's not awful. We'll discard Lotus Field. Cycle the Vizier. Untap the Lotus Field. Draw for turn. Or, I'm sorry, draw off the Vizier. And now we can play the Leer. Okay. And now we can Hidden Strings to untap our Lotus Fields. Yes, yes. And then we'll put it onto the Leer. And now we'll Pore Over the Pages. Triple Hidden Strings, huh? Discard Mana Confluence. So I can Sylvan Scrying here. This is the first time that this has actually come up for me. I could Sylvan Scrying for the Ketria Triome. Yeah, okay. And now we'll cycle it. And we hit the Wish. So the Wish can grab Dig Through Time. We'll play Hidden Strings. Deck looking like a fine-tuned machine here. So now we can play the Wish. Let's pop this out a little bit. And I think Dig Through Time is the card. So we will play Dig Through Time. There's a bunch of lands in here we can get rid of. And we'll also be able to flashback the Dig Through Time eventually. Pore Over the Pages. Is another Dig Through Time better? Probably not. So I think we want the Artist Talent. So we'll play the Artist Talent. And now we can Hidden Strings. Auto Yield. Discard Beseiju. They're not getting another turn, so I don't have to hold that anymore. Untap, untap. No. And now we'll level up the Artist Talent. Okay, and now we can Hidden Strings from the graveyard. Discard Thespian Stage. Untap, untap, and then we'll put this onto the Leer. Tap this for red. We'll play another copy of Artist Talent. Discard into the Flood Maw. We'll level up this one. And now we'll float some mana. We'll play the Hidden Strings in the graveyard. And you might have been wondering, why not Forgotten Cellar from the new set instead of Leer? Leer does not check to see when things enter or leave the graveyard, making it much better. And now we will Pore Over the Pages, discard Spirebluff Canal, and a Sleight of Hand. Untap, untap, discard Mana Confluence, all the mana in the world. Cycle some Viziers, target Lotus Field. We'll cycle another Vizier here. Untap the other Lotus Field. And then we'll auto-yield to these triggers. Otawara and Sylvan Scrying. Okay. Play Pore Over the Pages. I love when Pore Over the Pages makes 3 mana when you have double leveled up Artist Talent. It just feels like you're cheating. Like it shouldn't be allowed to draw 3 and make 3. Okay, we'll untap, discard Leyline. Tap this for 2 black. We'll play Mastermind's Acquisition. We'll grab the Thassa's Oracle from the sideboard. Discard Leyline. Discard Lotus Field. We'll go grab the Thassa's Oracle. And let's Pore Over the Pages. Discard land. Discard land. We'll untap. Discard Leyline. Play Sleight of Hand. Discard the basic island. And Thespian Stage. Sleight of Hand. We'll take an Artist Talent. We'll play another copy of Sleight of Hand. Discard Artist Talent. Discard Sylvan Scrying. 5 cards left. We'll take one of the 2 Dig Through Times we placed on the bottom earlier. And now Thassa's Oracle for Devotion 4 wins the game. And if it didn't, for some reason, you could finish emptying your deck, or you could even Otawara it back. That's the first match. Hopefully you enjoyed this new exciting build with Artist Talent. Stick around and watch the remaining 4 matches and see how we do in those. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Let's go. Match number 2. We're on the play. All day. Keep Botanical Sanctum into Sleight of Hand. We'll take the Balaged Recovery. Pass the turn. I was testing a list with Balaged Recovery number 3 over the Leer, but when I started adding silences to my sideboard, Leer became better in my opinion. I liked the idea of 3rd Balaged Recovery not opening you up to any removal, especially out of decks like Phoenix, where they have Lightning Axe. But ultimately, I think Leer is better when you can protect her. We'll play Mana Confluence and pass. They play an island into Ledger Shredder. We draw the Masterminds. We'll just play Lotus Field here. Send it back. Okay. They attack with the Shredder. We'll take 2. Thespian Stage. So what's nice about the 1-mana cantrips here is I can cantrip and copy. We'll grab a Consider. Send it back. They free the Fae, milling an Artist Talent, and a Sleight of Hand. So they're giving me the go-ahead here to try to win the game. Discards Arclight Phoenix. Steam Vents untapped. So they could still have like a Spell Pierce, but I don't think I'm supposed to play around that. Another Lotus Field. We'll start by cycling Vizier. Untap. We'll take a draw. Another Lotus Field. Alright, let's play Consider. We do not want Sylvan Scrying. That can go to the graveyard. We draw another land. Okay, let's dig through time. The Ledger Shredder connives here. Spell Pierce is the card we need to beat in game number 1. A lot of lists play 3 of them. We found Pore and a Vizier, but we needed to find Hidden Strings if we want to beat Spell Pierce. So a little bit worried about that. Okay, we'll cycle the Vizier. See if we can draw into another Vizier or Hidden Strings. Draw. Into the Floodmaw. Okay, so what to do here? I could just bounce the Ledger Shredder and then try to win next turn through a Spell Pierce. The problem would be if they had double Spell Pierce, but I don't know if I could beat double Spell Pierce anyway next turn. We'll play Botanical Sanctum. And we'll bounce the Ledger Shredder. And they thought for a long time and then let that go. They have 7 cards. I could just Balaged Recovery back the Dig Through Time, or I can play the Masterminds here. I think I want to play the Masterminds, search in my deck for a card that's in my main deck. And this should... I mean, if they have it, they're going to Spell Pierce. Oh, wow. I didn't see that coming. Crazy. We'll pass. They play Consider, Treasure Cruise, Pathway, and Opt. So this will bring back the pair of Phoenix. And they attack for 6. Alright, so I'm dead if they have double Spell Pierce, but I don't think I can beat it anyway. So let's play out the Mana Confluence. And we'll play Pore Over the Pages. They play Opt in response. That's a good sign for me. Okay. Untap, untap. And of course we draw in a bunch of blanks. We have an interesting decision here. I can Dig Through Time or I can Pore. I think Dig Through Time is actually better. Well, untap, untap. Tap our Sanctum for a green. We'll play Balaged Recovery, get back Dig Through Time. Hold on. I need to think through this. I guess Lightning Axe. Never mind. I don't want to turn on Lightning Axe. If you had Masterminds for Leer, if they were tapped out, I think we have a deterministic win. But I don't want to do that. I think opening myself up to Lightning Axe is not a good idea. And now we will Dig Through Time. Remove the Balaged. And then the next thing is, like, do you remove Hidden Strings? I think so. I think we leave the Pore. Because we have another Hidden Strings in our hand. We'll take Pore Over the Pages and Artist Talent. Any order. We'll play the Artist Talent. So, if I want to level, I lose to Spell Pierce. So I shouldn't level up. At least not right now. We'll play Hidden Strings. auto yield, discard Lotus Field. Here we go. And now we'll level. Play Hidden Strings, untap, discard Spire Bluff Canal. Alright, I like this. And now we'll make more mana. Play Pore over the pages. Discard the Otawara. Another Artist Talent, that's good. Discard Spire Bluff. We'll play Talent. Discard Sylvan Scrying. We'll play another Artist Talent. Discard Otawara. Discard Stage. Another Hidden Strings. We'll play Sleight of Hand. I think I'm supposed to discard the strings here. It feels a little sketchy, but I think it's the right move. Ooh, we have the Leer. I think I keep Leer. It does open me up here to the Lightning Axe, but I can play a few spells in response. We'll take Consider. Okay. And now I'll Hidden Strings to untap. And if they have the Lightning Axe, I can dig through time in response. And they do. So I can now dig through time. I'm pretty sure Into the Floodmoss is opponent only, so I cannot protect my own Leer, if that's what you're thinking. So we will play Dig Through Time, discard Consider, discard Sleight of Hand. Let's cycle the Vizier. Oh, I can't because I auto-yielded. I think we can discard it. Dig. Finds double Pore and Wish. I think we just want double Pore over the pages. And now the Lightning Axe happens, and now we can discard 3. We're going to be able to draw the rest of our deck very easily. Hidden Strings. Yes, yes. 15 cards left. Pore over the pages. Discard Consider. Discard the Artist Talent. Discard Mana Confluence. Untap, discard Spire Bluff Canal. Pore over the pages. Discard Beseiju. Sylvan Scrying. Sylvan Scrying. And now we have 3 cards left in our deck. We'll play Wish, discard Beseiju, Vizier, and Consider. We have no deck left, and we can now play the Thassa's Oracle. Boom! Take that, Phoenix. Okay, so I don't know if I love Thought Distortion as much as I do in Azorius Control matchups. I do like the Silence. So I think we bring those in. We can board out Into the Floodmaws. And then I think we just shave like a couple copies of Consider. And we'll try this one out. We are not sending this back. Keep. Steam Vents untapped. We'll play a Spire Bluff Canal, pass the turn. They play Consider, sure. Just land go. I mean, I like it when we play this game, so I'll just play my Spire Bluff Canal and pass. Free the Fae, which mills over Mystical Dispute and an Arclight Phoenix. Another nice thing about Silence. It does not get hit by Mystical Dispute, which is what they selected off of Free the Fae. Okay. Sure, you're trying to be control deck, I understand. We find an Otawara. We already have one of those, but sure. We'll sacrifice our lands and pass. I mean, we do have double Lotus Field the hard way here. Not that that's what I want to be doing, but it is an option. And they picked up Treasure Cruise, Ledger Shredder, and they cruise. Arclight Phoenix. So the Phoenix cannot come back this turn, but they could next turn. Pore over the pages. We can resolve that, so we're going to cycle Vizier, untap the Lotus Field, take a draw, another Vizier. We'll play out Otawara, and now we can Pore over the pages, try to fix up this hand a little bit. Untap, discard the Confluence, cycle the Vizier, untap Lotus Field. We'll draw Artist Talent. That's very good for us. Tap this for red. We'll play the Artist Talent. And now their Ledger Shredder will connive. Discards an Aether Gust. So that's scary if they're willing to discard Aether Gust when I play this. So that means they must have another. And we will dig through time, which exiles a Pore from my graveyard, but I think it's the card that sets us up for the most success next turn. And Artist Talent triggers. I think it's the spare Beseiju. We're not going to have or I'm sorry, the spare Lotus Field. We're not going to have time for it. Hidden Strings plus Pore over the pages. Okay. We now have too many cards in our hand and we have to pass. We could just discard a Botanical Sanctum. Okay. So they discarded Aether Gust. I have to imagine they're going to play one here on the Artist Talent. Okay. All of the Storm Giants. They're going to attack for 4. Sure, so they're trying to represent being the control deck. So I can start on Silence. I think that's probably the move here. We'll play Mana Confluence. Let's play Silence. Triggers the Artist Talent. Discard Beseiju. They Spell Pierce. We will pay. And now they opt in response. Discards an Ashiok. So we're not actually in a spot where we have the win. We have to try to string it together here using hidden strings. See what I did there? We'll Lotus Field and Mana Confluence. I pretty quickly need to find more mana. We'll discard Otawara. And there it is. That should be good enough to win here. Yes, yes. We'll tap the Lotus Field for 3 red. We'll level up our Artist Talent. We'll tap this for a blue now and hidden strings. Discard Balagad Recovery. Another Artist Talent. Untap, untap. And now we'll play Pore over the pages. I think it's the other Artist Talent here. I'm not sure. And that was terrible. Holy moly. Discard Spirebluff Canal. We'll play Sleight of Hand. Discard Island. So we found a Pore, but I'm a mana short of playing it. Sleight of Hand or Masterminds. I think it's the Sleight of Hand. We'll play Sleight of Hand. Need another hidden strings here. Okay. We'll take the Silence if we have to rebuild for next turn. Consider this is my last chance to find hidden strings. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Okay. Consider. Mill the Mana Confluence. We found hidden strings. Okay. Untap, untap. Discard Ketria Triome. Untap, untap. 25 cards left in our deck. We will Pore over the pages. Another hidden strings is great. There we go. This is what I'm talking about. That was what I want my Pores to look like. Cycle Vizier. Untap the Lotus Field. And now we'll Pore over the pages. Discard Mana Confluence. Untap. Brilliant. We found the Leer. Okay. Cycle Vizier. I don't even know if we need the Leer to win anymore, but it allows me to turn my brain off a little bit. Well, hidden strings. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Another Artist Talent. We don't need that, though. 5 mana allows me to play Leer. And having Silence protect your Leer is really nice. I mean, it doesn't matter here, but in general, just being able to protect the card that allows you to easily win the game is just good. And we're now 2-0. 3 matches left. Hopefully we win those as well. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and Mana tokens, as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Let's go. Match number 3 on the play. Sure, I think we keep this. I'm less confident in this hand than I have been in some of the others so far. We'll start off with the Ketria Triome. Pass. Den of the Bugbear. Okay. And we're facing an aggressive deck, and I have sort of a slow hand. I don't love that. We'll play Consider. Am I allowed to keep Pore over the pages? I don't think I am. I think I just have to dig for Lotus Field. We'll play Mana Confluence. I'll go to 18. Play the Sleight of Hand. We'll take Artist Talent. Pass the turn. So next turn I can play Stage, Artist Talent into Consider, and hope that we get a turn 4. Eidolon. Okay. I think we're probably not winning this one. Okay, so we'll play Artist Talent. We'll take 2 off the Eidolon. And now we'll play Consider. I'm at 13. Discard Dig Through Time. Get rid of the Spirebluff Canal. Yeah, and we're almost dead already. We're in a lot of trouble here. Rampaging for Ostodon. And I go to 8. So even if I draw Lotus Field here, I don't know how I'd win. Sylvan Scrying is not good enough, even if this was Lotus Field. So I'd play Field, I'd cycle Vizier, level up Talent, maybe there'd be a way. but the Sylvan Scrying is not good enough. So we lose game number 1. It happens. I think we definitely want the copies of Into the Floodmaw. I'll bring in the extra Beseiju. So we're at 63. I think I want to take out one of the Ottawaras. It's just kind of expensive. And then we have to take out a couple cards here. I think Dig Through Time might not be fast enough in this matchup. Or you take out one of the Impulse and leave Dig Through Time. You could also try only one win condition. So one Wish or one Masterminds. Maybe that's the move. We'll try this. Leyline of Sanctity could be sided in, but we didn't actually see any burn. So I'm not sure if that's what I want to be doing. This hand doesn't actually play Artist Talent or find the Lotus Field we have to mulligan. Okay, we'll keep this, get rid of Consider, play the Canal, pass. They play a tap land. We'll play Beseiju, Sylvan Scrying. We'll go grab Thespian Stage and send it back. Copperline Gorge, Magebane Lizard. Okay, we will play Lotus Field, pass. Another Magebane Lizard. Why are you like this? Alright, so we're going to just play our stage and pass. Double Magebane Lizard is brutal. We'll play the stage, pass the turn. On their end step, we'll bounce one Lizard, untap, and try to find a way to win. This card is insanely good. Why do you hate Lotus Field so much, friend? Why do you do it? Oh, brutal. And they accidentally skipped their attack step. I don't think it's going to matter, because I don't know how I'm possibly going to win this. And now we'll Into the Floodmaw on one of the Magebane Lizards. Okay, so then I can untap and Pore over the pages, but then I'm going to take damage off this creature. Leer. Okay, so... Alright. So we can play Hidden Strings. We'll take some damage off the Magebane. Maybe this is doable. We'll play the Botanical Sanctum. We'll play Leer. And then, as a precaution here, I'm going to Hidden Strings first, in case they have a removal spell for Leer. And then we'll bounce the Magebane Lizard. Okay. Yes, yes, and then we'll put this onto the Leer. And I could Sylvan Scrying here for Ottawara and then bounce this thing. Wow, did we actually just find the line? We'll grab the Ottawara. And now we'll bounce this thing, which costs one less because there's a Leer in play. Now we'll Hidden Strings. Okay. And now we'll play Pore over the pages. We have to discard one of these. I believe it should be the Consider. And now we'll get back the Pore over the pages. Cycle the Vizier. Untap the Lotus Field. This is a cool one. Double Magebane plus whatever that other card is called. And now we'll Pore over the pages again. Untap, untap, discard Lotus Field. Discard Pore over the pages. Untap, untap. Discard Sleight of Hand. We'll play Artist Talent. We'll level it up. And now we will Pore over the pages again. Auto yield to this trigger. Discard Into the Floodmaw. Untap, untap, discard Lotus Field. Let's Hidden Strings to make some more mana. Discard Island. Another Artist Talent. Okay. Let's play another Artist Talent. Discard Into the Floodmaw. We'll level up the Artist Talent. Tap this for green. We'll Bala Ged Recovery for 1 mana. Back the Pore over the pages. Discard. Discard. And now we'll play Pore over the pages. I don't think we need 3 copies of Artist Talent. We'll get rid of that. And then I always auto yield. So this is my own fault, but in paper, or if you weren't lazy, you would cycle Vizier in response here. And now we will untap. We'll play another copy of Artist Talent. Discard Stage. Discard Consider. We'll level it up. And now we'll Bala Ged Recovery, get the Pore over the pages. Discard Mana Confluence. Like, drawing your deck is actually very easy. And now the Pore over the pages comes home. We'll play Pore for 2 mana. Discard Lotus Field. Goodbye Sylvan Scrying. Okay, Spirebluff Canal. 17 cards left on our deck. We'll untap. Get rid of Beseiju. Play another copy of Pore. Goodbye Sleight of Hand. Scrying. And Vizier. Untap, untap. discard. 8 cards left. We'll play Pore. And at this point, it is sort of mindless. You have to just not accidentally deck yourself. Untap, untap, discard. And I say accidentally because it's 100% your fault if it does happen. We'll discard once. We only have 1 card left in our deck, so we can't do it again after this. We'll say no. And now we can grab a Thassa's Oracle. And we'll play the Oracle. Sweet. We found the line. After seeing the Magebane Lizards, I definitely want this sideboard Otawara back in the main deck. I don't know what to board out here. Like, should I just shove the Beseiju back in the sideboard? Probably. We'll do this. Slight adjustment for game 3. I mean, this is good. Our opponent this time with a mulligan. We draw Lotus Field. Okay. Play the Confluence and pass. Another land. Eidolon of the Great Revel. I don't plan on casting too many spells here. I'm just going to play lands, play Lotus Field, play stage, all that stuff. Alright, they play the enchantment that will deal me 1. It eventually becomes a creature. We'll take 2 off the Eidolon here. We'll play Lotus Field. I don't want to take damage off the Mana Confluence, so I'm just not going to. Like, I realize I could play Sylvan Scrying here or the Artist Talent. I'm trying to save damage. I have no idea what this is. So it's a 5/5. If a red source you control would deal damage... Okay, let me read this again. If a red source you control would deal an amount of damage, non-combat damage, less than the power of this creature to target opponent, it deals that source's damage equal to... So it's going to deal me 5 now for every spell I play. Wow. And it's a 5/5. We'll play stage and pass. That's crazy. We are looking like we're in a lot of trouble here. So they're attacking for 9? Yeah, I'm going to go to 6. If I try to Flood Maw the Eidolon, I go to 1. Sure. On the end step, we'll copy. And I'll Flood Maw the Eidolon down to 1 life. So we have to find a win here when I have no hidden strings, nothing. Another copy of Artist Talent. We'll play the Talent. We have to find hidden strings, I think. We'll play Consider. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Another Consider. This does not do it. We have found hidden strings. Holy moly. Alright, so we'll play that. You just have the answer? No way. Destructive Revelry? Oh. We actually found the way to win, and then they have Destructive Revelry. I mean, yeah, you got me. So, we're just short this match. Our opponent had a crazy, hateful deck, and we almost squeaked it through, but unfortunately, it did not happen. We are now 2-1. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Let's try to bounce back after that brutal loss in match number 3. We're on the play. And our opponent is a Yorion deck. Sure, so this hand has a bunch of cantrips, which is one of the things I love about the deck. You have a lot of sculpting to find the cards that you want. There is a build out there that isn't playing the main deck copies of Into the Floodmaw, which I've actually really liked in my testing, but they choose to not play them. And instead they play no Impulse, they play no Floodmaws, and then instead of the second Wish card, they play 4 Opt. And Opt is fine, but ultimately, when you have your, what is it called? Artist Talent completely leveled, Impulse is just so much better than Opt. And I think with how fast the format has felt, you really want the main deck High Noon. You really want the Floodmaws. And Floodmaw is a card that also answers High Noon. I should have responded. Why did I was too busy yapping my gums. I should have played Consider in response. That's my bad. We'll Consider now. We'll keep this because it gets Beseiju. So I'm just playing a turn behind now because I was too busy talking. It's okay. We'll pass. So our opponent is on the... I never remember what the card is called, but it's a Enigma Carnation or something like that. Enigmatic Incarnation. I think that might be it. Artist Talent. We'll cycle Vizier. So this is going to give us 2 mana after the copy, which we can use to play Sylvan Scrying for Beseiju. Okay, so now we'll copy. Sylvan Scrying. Go grab a Seiju who endures. Pass the turn. So if you're unaware with what High Noon is, each player can only play one spell per turn. Beseiju is a land that destroys artifacts, enchantments, or non-basic lands. We find an Otawara. Let's destroy the High Noon. And now we can cycle the Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. I'll play the Mana Confluence. And now we can tap this Lotus Field for red. We'll play the Artist Talent. We'll level it up. And they have their own copy of Beseiju. Get Lost. I don't want to get lost, though. I wanted my leveled up Artist Talent. Okay, so I will now play a Sleight of Hand here. We'll take the Sylvan Scrying, and then we'll pass. Leyline Binding. So they just had all the answers. Okay. There it is. Enigmatic Incarnation. So now if they want to, they could sacrifice the Leyline Binding and then search their deck for another enchantment. Or Atraxa, apparently. Yeah, that's pretty good. They found another Leyline Binding, too. They take Leyline Binding, Torch the Tower, Overlord of the Huntwoods, and Regrin Triome. So Overlord, when it enters or attacks, create a tapped colorless token for every basic land type. I don't really understand what this thing does, but okay. And then Torch the Tower is deals 2 to a creature or planeswalker. That doesn't matter. Okay. Another Hidden Strings. We will use Sylvan Scrying. We'll grab the Triome. Why am I not allowed to use the map token? We're in my main phase. It's mine. This doesn't have protection. Oh, maybe you can only do it on your own creatures. That's probably it. We'll cycle the Triome in case I draw into like a Pore Over the Pages or Dig Through Time here. Sleight of Hand. We'll play the Sleight of Hand. Artist Talent isn't great because we know that they have another Leyline Binding, so we'll take Consider. And pass the turn. So now they can attack for 7. We will go to 12. They will go up to 27. They play that giant Overlord thing, so I guess we'll see what it actually does here. Sure. They sacrifice the Incarnation itself. Then they grab a Sanctuary Warden, which doesn't seem like something I care about. I guess I care about it being lethal next turn, but I think I was dead to the giant Overlord thing already. On the end step, we'll play Consider. I go to 11. I don't need Spire Bluff Canal. Artist Talent. Well, they still have the Leyline Binding in their hand. Okay, so we will play the Artist Talent. And now we'll Hidden Strings. I cannot use Otawara to save the Artist Talent. I'm 1 mana short. Oh, they still have this. For some reason, I thought they sacrificed it. They just sacrificed the Overlord last turn. And now there's the Leyline Binding. So that's going to exile the Artist Talent. And we still have Dig Through Time, Impulse, Pore Over the Pages. We've seen like roughly 40% of our deck here. Discard the Sanctum. There's a Dig Through Time. Untap, untap. Played the Dig Through Time. Exile some useless lands. Pay blue. We find Pore Over the Pages and a Balagat Recovery. So like if this was a Treasure Cruise, there's a good chance you draw triple land there and then lose the game. We will now play Pore Over the Pages. Untap. We will discard a copy of Otawara. Cycle the Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. The 4th copy of Hidden Strings. We'll play Impulse. Take the Wish. And that should be good enough to win the game here. So I'm going to Hidden Strings. We'll tap their land and untap our Lotus Field. So if they float mana here, I could just switch phases and then win in my second main phase. But because they didn't, we can just do this the easy way. So now we'll Hidden Strings, untap, make more mana because we can. We'll Hidden Strings again, untap, play Wish. And now we'll play the sideboard copy of Lear, Disciple of the Drowned. And it should be a pretty easy win. Pore Over the Pages. Untap, untap, discard Thespian Stage. We'll play Sleight of Hand. Take Pore Over the Pages. We'll play Pore Over the Pages. Untap. discard Sylvan Scrying, play Pore over the pages again, untap, discard Sylvan Scrying, another copy of Pore over the pages. They were on the bottom. Untap, discard Lotus Field, cycle the Vizier, untap Lotus Field. Okay, I guess we'll just play another Pore over the pages from the graveyard. This will bring us down to 10 cards left in our deck. Untap, untap, discard this, I suppose. We drew another copy of Pore over the pages. You see, like, this is a good example to show that you don't even need artist talent. Like, artist talent just makes it easier. If you go back, like, a couple years ago, I was running a list of Lotus Field Combo that won with Thassa's Oracle, but it quickly just became, like, apparent that it wasn't the easiest way you could win, so we just swapped off of it. But now that you have artist talent, it's so much easier. I guess I'll just play the Wish from the graveyard, because we have 4 cards left. So Thassa's Oracle will win the game here. And if they do anything, we can just, you know, win again. Or empty out our deck. We'll take the Consider. Sweet, that's game number 1. Took about 10 minutes of our clock. I think we do want the Boseiju. Some number of Silence might not be terrible, just because it protects you from Get Lost and Leyline Binding and other stuff. I wonder if, like, 2 copies of Silence is crazy. Another thing is, like, our opponent's deck is very, very slow. I think I'm going to bring in 1 more copy of Into the Floodmaw too, and we'll just board out all of the Considers. Okay, so here we've opened up a little bit of a clunker. We do have double Sleight of Hand, though. With their deck being as slow as it is, I think I want to try this out. Alright, our opponent plays a land, we draw Otawara. We will cast a Sleight of Hand. We'll take Sylvan Scrying. Pass the turn. They play another tap land. Hidden Strings will play Sleight of Hand. We find the Lotus Field. Play the Spire Bluff Canal, pass the turn. They play Boseiju into Fable. Yep. We'll play the Lotus Field here. Sacrifice these, pass the turn. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So now it's going to the second chapter. They can draw 2, discard 2. I'm sorry, discard 2, draw 2. They discard... I've literally never seen this before. So it deals damage to the number of creatures you control? Oh no, number of cards in your hand to target creature an opponent controls. And then Get Lost. Oh, they have the Krenko's Buzz Crusher. Insanely good here. Yeah. So they've destroyed my Lotus Field. That's something to keep in mind if we lose this game. I mean, fortunately, we're still in a decent spot, but if we lose this, I need to change my play patterns for game 3. We will pass the turn. Now they attack for 6, I'll go down to 12. Rest in peace, okay. And they put Yori into their hand, so they'll be able to blink the Buzz Crusher into Archon of Emeria. Okay, it's safe to say I lost this one. Let's swap out for game 3. And Archon is actually not that played anymore. Like, it's not common to see it in the Incarnation deck. So we're going to bring in the 4th copy of Floodmaw. And I'm going to get rid of Silences, I think. I just don't think we can afford to be waiting around on those. And I'll bring back in 1 Consider. Let's try it. That was a devastating loss. On the play for game 3. Sure, we'll try this out. I wish that this had an artist talent or something in it, but it's not terrible. Our opponent's taking a mulligan to 5. We will play Spirebluff Canal and pass. Into the Floodmaw. Play Mana Confluence and pass. I do wonder if maybe this is a game where I'm supposed to play Vizier as a creature. It seems odd, but it's a question that I'm just wondering about. Hidden Strings. Maybe it's not crazy. I mean, it does open me up to Leyline Binding pretty badly. Alright, we're going to try playing out Vizier here. Can they Get Lost? Yeah, I should have known better. That was just dumb. Alright. Archon of Emeria. Another Vizier. We'll play Lotus Field. And we'll pass. They attack with the Archon. We'll take 2 down to 17. Really regretting playing out that Vizier. That was just so bad. So this doesn't do anything here because it says sacrifice another enchantment. So on their end step, I think we want to Floodmaw the Archon and then try to make something happen. We draw an Otawara. Let's start by cycling a Vizier. Untap Lotus Field. Take a draw. Wish. So we have both of the cards we used to win in our hand. We'll use the Vizier, untap, Sylvan Scrying. So we can play Sylvan Scrying here, grab stage, play the stage, copy. So I can Hidden Strings, but can we do anything else after that? So I'd have 6 mana. Masterminds for strings is 6 mana, so that's a break even. I don't think we can. So I believe we're supposed to pass the turn. They replay the Archon of Emeria. And they don't have an enchantment to sacrifice. We draw a Triome. I'm going to just cycle the Triome here. And then on their end step, I can Otawara the Archon. Okay, so they're drawing up to 4 cards. They'll attack with the Archon. We'll go to 15. End step, we will Otawara the Archon of Emeria. And now we can untap. Another Sylvan Scrying. Let's start with Sleight of Hand. We find another Sleight of Hand. We'll play that. Into the Floodmaw. Okay, I think we're not winning this turn. I'm just going to play the Masterminds. And we will search our deck. I think I'm just going to grab like a Pore over the pages here. Dovin's Veto. I wasn't expecting that one. Sure. It's a little surprising. Archon of Emeria is back. Alright, so end step, if I decide to bounce here, we'll untap with 7 mana, Hidden Strings up to 11. Wish brings us... So we could Leer win, assuming that they don't have a 1 mana out to Leer. I will bounce the Archon. We draw another useless Sylvan Scrying. Hidden Strings. Yes, yes. And now we'll play Wish. So alternatively, I could Dig Through Time, but I just feel like Leer wins because they can't play Leyline Binding right now. They have 3 types, so they would need a 1 mana removal spell that isn't Leyline Binding. So if I do get the Leer, I can Hidden Strings up to 7 mana, and then we just have cantrips, but I feel like that's better than going all in on a Dig Through Time. So we'll play Leer, Disciple of the Drowned. And now we will Hidden Strings to untap. Yes, yes, and then we'll put this spell onto Leer, Disciple of the Drowned. I have 1 mana floating. Let's play a Sleight of Hand. We'll get Bala Ged Recovery. So, I mean, this isn't really a play I want to make, but it ends up making mana in the long run. We will Masterminds here, grabbing a card from our deck, which will be a Hidden Strings. So the first time you do this, it's a break even. The second time it makes mana. So now we'll grab Hidden Strings. We'll play the Hidden Strings. Yes, yes, no. And now we can Bala Ged Recovery back the Hidden Strings to make 1 more mana. And now we untap. It's important to remember that Wish in our graveyard is our last copy of Wish or Mastermind's Acquisition. So you have to use that to grab Thassa's Oracle or you lose the game. So we need to keep that in mind. So we also can't pass and let them put Rest in Peace into play. Let's play a Sleight of Hand. We find another Sleight of Hand. We'll play Sleight of Hand. Artist Talent. We're going to use the Bala Ged Recovery to get Hidden Strings back, because this makes a mana. And then we'll untap. Yes, yes, no. And now we'll play the Artist Talent. We will level it up. And now we'll Hidden Strings. Auto yield to this trigger. Discard a Sylvan Scrying. Vizier's great here. And then we'll put this onto the Leer. If you're going to exile it from your graveyard, you might as well put it onto the Leer, just because there's some world out there in which you attack and it triggers. I mean, realistically, it never happens, but it's just something you should do. We're down to 6 minutes on clock. I should quit yapping and just start casting spells. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Finally, we found a Pore over the pages. We'll take Dig Through Time. Let's play let's play Pore over the pages. I do not want to discard Dig Through Time. Untap, untap, discard the Spire Bluff. Alright, I feel like we've got this now. Pore over the pages. No, I don't want to discard. Untap, discard Lotus Field. Okay, Pore over the pages. Discard. And now we'll draw 3, untap, discard the Beseiju. We'll play an Artist Talent, discard Otawara, and now we'll level it up. We'll play Pore over the pages again. 21 cards left in our deck here. We'll discard Stage, discard Consider, untap, discard the Sanctum. We'll tap for red. We'll play actually no, let's play Artist Talent because I can. Discard Floodmaw, discard Lotus Field. And now we'll play Wish. 14 cards left in our deck. Discard Sylvan Scrying. Discard Boseiju. Discard into the Floodmaw. And now Wish will allow us to play the sideboard copy of Thassa's Oracle. Why not? We'll play the 4th copy of Artist Talent just because we can. Discard Dig Through Time, and Mana Confluence. Okay. And now Pore over the pages. Discard Lotus Field. We'll discard Impulse. Discard Pore over the pages. And Botanical Sanctum. Alright, so now we will draw 3, discard 1. And then we can play the sideboard copy of Thassa's Oracle. I am so much lower on time than the opponent here. I mean, you have to draw your entire deck. It's part of the cost of playing this deck, so... Opponent can be a little bit mad, but I was taking actions. I was playing at a pretty reasonable pace, but we got the win. Also, I'm not saying the opponent was mad. They never said a word in chat. But I'm just saying that, I mean, I was playing pretty quickly. That's all I've got. So there's still one more match left to go. Let's see if we can finish this with a strong 4-1 record, only losing to the ridiculous hate deck. I hope that happens. Let's make it happen in match number 5. I'll see you there. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? Hey, so I accidentally didn't hit record on match number 5, my bad. So we're on the draw, and our opponent here ends up being on Mono Green Devotion. Turn 1 Llanowar Elves on the draw is not what you want to see, so that's unfortunate. We play a Sleight of Hand. We find Sylvan Scrying, which is great because that's going to find our Lotus Field, and they end up having a turn 2 Old Growth Troll. We untap. I play the Otawara because Otawara makes it so I take less damage. We find the Lotus Field. They have a Cavalier of Thorns. Ouch. And we're actually in a decent spot if I can find Hidden Strings. I don't find it. I find an Artist Talent instead, so we pass the turn. And now our opponent's going to put a ton of power into play, like a lot. And Hidden Strings makes it so I can Vizier, untap the Lotus Field, copy it into Pore over the pages, and we'd be smooth sailing. But unfortunately, spoiler alert, we don't find Hidden Strings. I cycle the Vizier, and we draw into an Artist Talent. I have to Pore over the pages, which finds Hidden Strings as the next card. We were 1 card off. So now I have to Hidden Strings here. I play the Artist Talent, I miss, I cycle Vizier and actually hit Hidden Strings, so that keeps us alive. I can now play Artist Talent into Artist Talent, hoping to draw into Hidden Strings, but Dig Through Time is 1 mana short. This is credit to Treasure Cruise here. Cruise would have given me 5 more looks at 2 remaining copies of Hidden Strings. That said, Dig Through Time digging 7 deep in other matches was way better than Treasure Cruise. I think this is sort of a weird anomaly where Cruise would have been better, but in general, I think Dig Through Time is the card. So now we head to the post-board games. So we're on the play for game number 2, and in game number 1, our opponent did not open up on... I forgot to play. They did not open up on Leyline. Well, they do this game. And here we have a fine hand. I have turn 2 Artist Talent. We have all the mana in the world. All I have to do is find a Lotus Field. We draw Consider, which is actually great when you're holding the Artist Talent. So we pass. They have turn 2 Voyaging Satyr. So if they have a Nykthos in hand, they're going bananas on turn 3. We level up the Artist Talent because that gives me the best odds of winning on turn 4. They do have Nykthos. It turns out they just have a Storm turn. That, like, look at this. They untap the Nykthos multiple times. They're drawing tons of cards off the Kiora triggers. They're just going to town. Like, just so much mana and power on turn 3 here. And I am begging to draw Lotus Field. We miss, we play Consider, discard, Dig Through Time, we mill the Mana Confluence, and actually hit the Lotus Field. And now we can cycle, untap. Well, I guess I Hidden Strings here instead, but we could have done it the other way. And you end up just short here of copying and then playing your spells. So I end up just like cycling, play Pore over the pages. We end up cycling again. And I second guess myself on the Mastermind's acquisition. You might have been asking why I made black mana. I thought I was going to play it, and then I decided against it. So now we play Impulse. I actually hit the hidden strings here. And Impulse being not consider was a huge difference maker here. Just the ability to dig 4 deep. I'm sorry, I said consider. Opt. Because there's lists that play Opt. So Impulse just like looked amazing in this spot. And then we end up making tons of mana. And at this point, it's just going through the motions of winning until we draw all 30 cards and win the game. So, I mean, I could narrate all of this, but it's just me casting spells until I win. Like, this is easy mode. So instead of me just like rambling so we can finish watching it win, let's go see game number 3. Game 3, we're on the draw. Our opponent ends up taking a mulligan. So I decide with them mulliganing that I'd rather keep this hand because it allows me to find a quick Lotus Field. I draw a mana confluence I don't want. And then it turns out that they just have like a nut 6-card hand where they have Kiora, untap, Stonebrain, Lotus Field, good game. And that's it. So unfortunately, we lose in embarrassing fashion in game number 3. But ultimately, my keep didn't matter. Like, they just had the nuts. And I actually sided in 2 more copies of Into the Flood Maw, so that way I could try to bounce Leyline if I drew it. However, I didn't draw Into the Flood Maw, and our opponent had turn 2 Stonebrain. Sometimes you lose. So this was the deck list. I loved the main deck, but I do think the flex spots are 2 copies of Into the Flood Maw. We didn't actually face as much aggro as I did in my previous 2 leagues. I went 3-2 is the worst record I've had so far. So Into the Flood Maw was better in the unrecorded leagues, but it was still pretty decent here. And then Impulse is a flex spot, and then the second copy, or the second Wish effect is a flex spot. Some people only play the 1. Some people play 2 copies of Wish. I'm choosing a 1-1 split. And I liked the idea of being able to get hidden strings in the main deck to make mana and stuff like that, which actually did come up in one of my wins. So those are the 4 slots that I think you're allowed to tamper with, but everything else is sort of locked in. I think where there's room for growth is in the sideboard. I love ley lines. I really do think they're great. I love the silences, but if there's a card that you think might be better, hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. I do believe that this is the future of Lotus Field Combo and Pioneer. Only needing 1 Lotus Field to win is just so good. And that's what I've got for today. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. All that good stuff. Have a great day and keep storming. Hey, thanks for watching today's video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and after you do that, click that join button. It contains all of our membership information, such as access to our members exclusive Discord, members exclusive videos, and the best perk in my opinion, you can watch all of our videos early, 1 to 2 weeks in advance. That way you're always up to date on the latest and greatest content.